Currently 5:49 p.m. and this is capturing, I took still images of this so that you can see what is all along my bed cover. This is the pattern of the blinds. So you can see the blinds are closed. They're closed in an upward position. This same position is where you've seen I've documented the pattern of the blinds appearing above my head, creating the pattern. It covers the 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 fan, wings of the fan, also on the ceiling. So it's gone across. I've shown you the pattern of the blinds. In other words, that appears above. I'm speaking to the nature of that light though. It's shooting at an upward trajectory and it spans across the fan blades and the ceiling. Like it goes across and across the fan blades and whatnot. And I've also shown you that where you're looking at literally like, it appears like layers of light. So I'll have the shape of the window, the pattern of the blinds in the square shape, the shape of the window, and that it'll be like layers of it, multiple shapes of the window, layers of engineered light. And then you've also seen it on the upper portion above my bedroom door. You've seen it in my second bedroom as well, above the bedroom door in the morning. All right, stationary at a diagonal in the upper portion. The same light activity I've captured. It's adjacent to the wall at nighttime. So it's the pattern of the blinds, the shape of the window, and it's appearing flat on this wall at an upward trajectory up here. Impossible. Demonic, it's just a different color, equally impossible. These are all methods of stalking with light. So what you're seeing in the evening, this is what's happening. The same blinds, it's now appearing on the carpet, just magnified in size, moving out onto the wall. This is covering and filling my bedroom with engineered light. This is magnification of the blinds, and this engineered light is spanning across through closed blinds at the same address where I've documented the sunrise. Okay, never going to be the sun, and you never ever forget that you're capturing the fact that there's a so-called sunrise, and 6:45 in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning. Okay, that's essentially a sunrise, and you have what is at the same address documenting hours later, 4:22 in the afternoon. That's not the natural environment. Okay. It's still in the same position, hovering over, creating the shadow of the palm tree that it's hovering directly above in alignment to me. Okay. Which is called stalking with light. And you're also understanding what is stalking with light, because not only is that evidence of what's not the sun, but then you have the demon possessed who drive their vehicles and engineered light swipes all across the buildings. That's engineered light. That's what this is inside of my bedroom. This is engineered light. Okay, so for purposes of those, so in order for you to remember what you've seen already, I'm going to give you evidence so that you understand what fills my apartment right now. This is an entity that's engaged in what is corporate invasion of privacy by an entity engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. It occurs in public. And by public, I mean it's a third-party facilitating venue. This is engineered light that's appearing above everyone's head, very highly malicious. When you're not paying attention to your environment, you're not going to see these things. This is speaking to what is the existence of a system, the maintenance of what is engineered light. This is what's on my bedspread, and it's impossible light activity. The entity is doing so for purposes of what is massive monitoring that's underway, and the light source that's over me at this venue, which is Stater Brothers in Ontario, California, on Hope Boulevard and San Antonio in Ontario, where I've documented the sunrise again. Well, not the sunrise. Well, actually, yes, the sunrise through the 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock hour. Yes, I have documented it, and as late as the sunset. And so again, all of this is mutually exclusive. I'm showing what's an ongoing consistent pattern. This is one example of looking at engineered light while the state of California keeps you under surveillance everywhere that you go. This is impossible light. It's appearing, Stater Brothers, this is any public venue, but this is a tall building. There's no vantage point of light that's going to move or appear on your ceiling. It's in the depths of the store. Opening and closing the entrance door, the automatic doors, does not create that upward trajectory of light, and it's just light that's just inexplicably there, and everyone's just walking around going about their business, like it's not there, like it's not happening. And you're not supposed to pay attention to it anyway. You're not even supposed to notice it. You're certainly not supposed to question it. But there's an ongoing pattern. The entity is maintaining this environment also, as I've documented, at the facilitating venues. For example, when I am in public, I want you to look at this. Across, just like you see, that's the state directing light, okay? This is monitoring. Okay, first of all, you can see I didn't point my camera up to show you the light source, which is directly above my head. But as you look at the passenger window, you can see the light source right on the window as they're crossing path. They're group stalking the light sources directly over me. These are the details that you pay attention to. Even where the targeted individual, one that does not know what's going on, they don't know what's happening, and they're not identifying all of these patterns and stuff. This is how you can identify it under all circumstances, and you can put two and two together when they provide any amount of documentation, and you can recognize what's going on. Okay, they might not put their phone up to capture the light source that's directly above their head. By the way, my evidence showing where the light source, the specific environment surrounds me in Southern California, this is ongoing corroborating evidence for any other person, with the exception of somebody claiming to be a targeted individual that lives in my neighborhood. They're lying. They're a minion. But like I said, you're talking about what is mutually exclusive. Somebody stating that they've got the light source hovering over them in Florida, that they're being monitored by the government. Let me be clear. You can use this evidence that I've used in order to prosecute the state of Florida for engaging in what is group stalking, because the sun that's purportedly remaining over somebody in Southern California is not the sun that's going to be over them in Florida. Oh, excuse me, Southern California is not the sun that will be over them in Florida. There's only one, okay? And this is what I mean. There are multiple ways that you are using this evidence that's prosecuting the state of California. It is putting the rest of the country on notice, okay, by virtue of what this evidence that I've captured. But you can look at this light source. This is ongoing ability to analyze. This is indeed the light source that's at the Ovid Family Community Library. This is during outside of daylight savings time, so 1:47 p.m. So you're talking about adding an hour, 2:47 p.m. It's still not going to be the sun at any time of day over Alvarado Gardens, ever. But nonetheless, I want you to see what is an evidence of impossible light activity. But you're looking at the hallmark. The light source is directly over me. This is called crossing path.
Okay. This is monitoring. And it's also demonic activity. 6BIA 290. All right, this is P.O.C. And this is exactly what I am speaking of, this impossible light activity. Light is not shooting off backwards into the shade and moving across. They're literally providing me evidence.
And what I'm talking about, that vehicle didn't do it. As I speak to it, the entity would engage in one third party would do it, the next one wouldn't, another one would do it, another one would do it, and the next party wouldn't do it. This is speaking to, first of all, what's impossible. The ability to refrain from engaging in that demonic behavior is also relevant. It never makes it a natural activity under any circumstances. So you can have, for example, the light source absent, and by absent I mean just covered up in the sky space while it's still remaining over my head for the half of the day, which is what the entity did today at approximately during the 12 o'clock hour. Where's the light source? It's unveiled directly over my head. It remains under all circumstances at all time the specific environment. And it's the same thing with this impossible light activity. You have what I've documented, the entity engaging in what is the demonic behavioral pattern, crossing path hundreds and hundreds of times, engaging in the same conduct, which is never naturally occurring. Impossible light shooting across, swiping across surfaces, molesting my person, like sunlight ricochets off of objects like we're in an arcade. It doesn't. In the same way, sunlight is not piercing through what are blinds horizontally, the sun that is over us, the sun that would not even be present at the same address at the end of the day. When I'm present, documenting it, it already exists on the record as early as 6:45 in the morning, but I'm going to show you evidence of this light source outside of the same apartment window in the living room during the 8 o'clock hour. But then you're looking at this light activity that's ricocheting. I want you to see what this entity does, engage in what is the audible activity using minor children who are outside yelling and screaming. These are demons intentionally doing so. This is light activity on the wall. Okay, ricocheting off of a mirror, creating light activity. This is on my pillow. This is all over my bedspread, and this is again at also the time frame 5:46 p.m. And I've got more evidence to that. This is what you're looking at. This is engineered light that you're looking at while a third party is engaging in it, and I capture this light activity, which is documented terrorism by the people of the state. It's evidence against the Los Angeles Police Department who are group stalking. This is the same entity engaged in the P.O.C.
Evidence, and so that you understand how public entity activity is in relevant position as well. The state is crossing path above me, third parties are crossing path all around me, while light is all, you understand how public entity monitors into the shade and moving across. They're literally providing activity. Light monitors. The state is engaging in using their presence in the path while they are directing light. That is light. Element number one, that is two, visible activity, audible activity as they cross path, also audible activity as the state is amplifying the sound of the train, amplifying the sound of the plane that is flying over. Again, the state flying over is in relevant position as well. The state is crossing path above me, third parties are crossing path. They are monitoring through all traffic. They come across here, that's amplified train, audible activity, same as the plane. This is crossing path. Note the light activity. On no time, in no way, is ever light naturally going.
So again, that was a hook-shaped Tall light. This is entirely satanic. It is a documented act of terrorism by a demon. By virtue of that behavior, it is a pattern by the multiplicity of faces. You're talking about thousands of people surrounding me and engaging in this identical behavior as I captured video just to get it on video so that you can see it. What you're also looking at, as I showed on that other vehicle, that passenger window, the light source is directly above my head. Under no circumstances does sun create this light activity you see spread across my bedspread that reaches and remains on my bedroom wall in the evening, as I documented yesterday, while the entity is also at the same time remaining over a specific address, such as the Upland Public Library at 450 North Euclid Avenue, while the entity is maintaining a light source over my apartment and now in Los Angeles while I'm here, both outside of my living room window in the morning and on the opposite side at the same address, the bedroom window, after remaining in alignment to my leasing office all day long. Then moving to be in alignment to my bedroom window on the same property at the same address. Yeah, that's impossible light. You're understanding what's absolutely impossible light the more that you look at it's not just the light source, but the light activity that coexists with this criminal presence. Okay, so I want to do that again just in case you can't see. It's poor quality because when I recorded this was a Facebook live video, and so I went on Facebook and I downloaded the video to keep it for evidence, but that's why it's such poor quality. But you're going to look at it's literally as tall as me, and it's hook-shaped light, and it's rapidly moving across in an upright position across these bushels. This is light activity creation. This is what's stationary inside of my bedroom. And this is systematically occurring for purposes of
shooting
monitoring.
Across, just like you see. Audible activity, same as a plane. This is crossing path. Note the light activity. On no time, in no way, is ever light naturally going to...
Okay, that's very terrorizing and demented conduct. That is the method of stalking with light. The entity is doing it inside of the private space where there's no cars driving in my apartment. Okay, they're pacing all around outside of my apartment, knowing exactly where I'm at. And that real-time knowledge, that ongoing knowledge is captured. It is revealed through the targeting conduct with the engineered light. And you're also recognizing the targeting through the maintenance of the light source. That duration of time, that time of year analysis with regard to an entirely different region, what that duration of time when you're juxtaposing it with an entirely different region, all these are methods of understanding what is under no circumstances the natural environment. And like I said, this is evidence that you can use to prosecute in this country, because where I've shown you the specific environment, which is not the natural environment, because of the exclusivity of what the entity is using to keep one under surveillance, demonically imitating the natural environment. And so the light source is remaining over me. So this is bringing into question, probable cause, in other words, for the federal government to investigate where you're looking at another target individual, another alleged target individual is capturing the light source that's remaining over him. It's mutually remaining over them in an entirely different region. It's mutually exclusive. And so I'm just pointing out ways in which you can use this evidence even outside of what will be my federal prosecution. This is what that is. You're looking at iterations of the same pattern. You're stalking, you're walking by, you're driving by, you're living by, okay? You're just running by, you're walking your dog, you're going by, okay? You're stalking. It's group stalking. And you're recognizing it's done by a population, it's done by the government. There's nobody that's innocently engaging in presence in this environment. It's a well-documented pattern, and I had to document this consistency of this pattern for years in order to establish that, okay? Because I understand the complexity of suggesting that a whole population of people are together targeting you, and you're showing what is the means whereby they are targeting you. It is identified through the environment, and then in that environment, they're engaging in a very specific pattern, and it includes the conduct by the government directly, and it includes the conduct by the people of the state as they act vicariously. And this directed light conduct is one of the examples. And inside of the private space, this is readily identifiable. Under no circumstances is this going to be the sun. And so I want you to see this light source. You see this engineer light. This is the light source, just like I stated. It's no longer over that palm tree. Okay. When I was standing outside of my leasing office, the shadow of that palm tree was flat on the roof of that building 1802, and that shadow was coming toward me. That speaks to the light source that was hovering directly above. It's not some misperceived depth, and it's over the Upland Public Library and creating the shadow of that palm tree also at the same time over building 1802 in Los Angeles, California, 90026. This is the address where the entity is maintaining the light source for the duration of the day, as I captured on video at approximately 12 something in the afternoon, and the light source was directly over my head. This is the same venue where the entity is maintaining. When you're looking at this light source right here, and it's currently 6:03. I started this video about 14 minutes ago, and I captured at that time for a specific reason. First of all, that light source is speaking to what is impossible. This is light activity. It's not sunlight. Okay, this is also when you're documenting a pattern, you're recognizing the ways in which the same thing is happening over and over and over again. Okay, there's no anomaly here. I'm showing you what is an ongoing documented pattern. This is engineered light, and this is mutually exclusive to, first of all, what's not going to be sunlight. And also, you know that because you're not going to forget the fact that it was also appearing on the ceiling, and you saw leaves of trees blowing in video where it was appearing behind the headboard. Okay, so that's not going to be forgotten when then you're going to unreasonably assume that this is also sunlight. No, it's not. And there's a well-documented pattern speaking to that. So like I said, I'm speaking a lot of this is common sense, but what I want to document is I'm at the same address of 1806 North Alvarado Street, where I have captured at the same environment. For example, what I captured on May 7th, 2024 at 8:10 in the morning. And this is, again, the same pattern of aiming engineer light inside of my apartment. This is at 8:10 in the morning. And again, like I've stated, this light source that you're looking at that's outside of my apartment window right now has nothing to do actually with this light activity. Okay. This is a distinct method of stalking with light. It's supposed to be under the malicious guise that that's the sun and that's the explanation for it. And then when you have what is full exposure of what's not possibly the sun, now this entity is just continuously engaging in it because any and everyone is going to recognize when it's literally on the news that that's not sunlight, nor is this sun. Okay, and you're going to look up in the sky above where you're at, and you're also going to know that it's not the sun. The entity is just engaging in what is repeating anything other. The entity, in other words, this corrupt government, this demonic entity does not have any other way to do what it's doing. It didn't make up a plan B. It didn't make up any alternative plan. Okay? That's speaking to what is obsession. That's a threat to your life. It's not the natural environment. It's not even naturally occurring. And the demonic can cease stalking at any moment. They can get out of their helicopters and stop stalking at any moment. They can stop targeting with engineered light at any moment. They have refused to do so. This is not the natural environment, and continuously keeping this light source is not in any suggestion that it is the natural environment. And the evidence suggests that when you're looking at the real-time engagement, the coexisting activity creation that the entity engages in while that environment surrounds you is like in real time, ongoing system that's underway. It is demonic activity. That's going to be attributed to the entity that's going to be prosecuted. And I captured this video. I started this video right now at 5:48 p.m. Because I, first of all, want to show you the duration of time. In the same way that you're looking at this light source that's outside of my window, and it has nothing to do with this light activity that you see inside of my bedroom, the same bedroom I'm inside of right now, during the 8 o'clock hour in the morning, while the light source is, again, not outside of this bedroom window. Not that it being outside of the bedroom window is any explanation for it being on my ceiling. Now you're looking at it outside of my bedroom window, and it's going at a downward trajectory on my bedroom floor, all across my pillows, and remaining at a downward trajectory in the morning when the light source is outside of my living room window. This is the light activity inside of my bedroom. This is called stalking with light. It has nothing to do with the sun, and it's not sunlight. It's a pattern of stalking with light, and it is the same pattern that the entity is engaging in when they're driving by you and engineered lights moving all across surfaces. It's highly demonic. Okay, and it is speaking to what is massive invasion of privacy, federal stalking, and group stalking by the government at that.
Okay, this system of what is criminal surveillance, it is centered around what is engineered light. This is not normal sunlight. This is not regular.
And
You know that this is impossible light. The
bedroom.
bounds of you're looking at what is literally the trajectory of this light. It's in all manners of what is impossible. All right, the entity is engaging in what is federal stalking.
That's the same bedroom window you're looking at right here. This is the same bedroom window, and you have what is at an upward trajectory in the morning. Engineer light when the light source is not outside of this window. This light has nothing to do with that light source that you're looking at out there. Okay, this light activity that you see occurring in my bedroom window in the morning is happening while the light source is outside of the living room window. Outside of that window, oh, hold on, let me show you the camera. Outside of that window out there, when you're looking at this light activity that I'm capturing all over the walls and all over the ceilings inside of my bedroom apartment. And what I want you to witness right now is what the entity is doing, the appearance of engineered light above my head as I'm speaking to it, okay? This is, again, what was absent moments before. I showed you footage of my ceiling before. This light activity wasn't there. This is literally the demon possessed who are listening to me point out its asininity. Okay, engaging in what is clearly impossible is documentation of the state engaging in terrorism. This is America's version of terrorism in the US, keeping American citizens under surveillance. And the state of California, the public entity's demonic stalking behavior is going to be the grounds of a federal prosecution and federal imprisonment of government actors, including the people of the state. But I want you to look at in real time as I speak to the demonic shows itself, okay? All of the entity is listening to me. This is why you have things such as the entity sending me an email in reference to things which I did not ask them about. As I send an email to myself about a third-party group stalker, that third-party group stalker moments later sends me an email about that very information. While I send an email on a communication device in the specific environment, that entity is stalking in the path using a helicopter. That entity is engaged in real-time knowledge of any and everything that you're doing, and it is also revealed through the unnatural environment. This is the same entity that is doing so when you're looking at this light activity inside of my bedroom in the morning at 8:10 in the morning. And by the way, when you're looking at it appearing on my ceiling at 6:09 in the evening, it is more evidence of the demonic. There is no way to make consistent. There is no way to make normal. There is no way to make natural this impossible light activity. Understand how Satan has been choked to death with its own criminal conduct, its own psychotic behavioral pattern. This is what you're witnessing right now. Okay? So I want to be clear. This is in the morning.
Right now, calling my phone. All right, and this is light activity. So then I want you to see what is the light activity on the floor. This is the illusion, a condition to accept because you're never questioning your.
This is where the entity is engaging as though the sun is rising also outside of my apartment. And you just saw the video of it is after 6 p.m. as though the sun is setting. You're looking at the engineered light that's inside of my bedroom, just like it is in the morning during the so-called sunrise. This is called stalking with light. This is what you're seeing on the roof inside of the grocery store. That's a third-party facilitating venue. Those are demons in line. Those are demons working at that venue. Those are demons in the parking lot. Those are demons in traffic. Those are demons in the planes and helicopters all above that venue where I'm at, while the light source is hovering above me at that grocery store, as I showed you on video. The entity is maintaining an engineered light while they're driving by in a truck, and hook-shaped light is moving across bushels and the wall. That's engineered light. That's what you see inside of my apartment at all hours of the day.
Paying attention, but this isn't sunlight, and it's piercing through closed blinds, and it's in and of itself the criminal act, and it's occurring in plain sight.
And it's at 8:10 in the morning. This is at 8:10 in the morning at the same apartment. And while the light source is outside of my living room window, you are looking at what was the light that's on my ceiling, all over the walls, the same blinds, the upward trajectory of light, the shadow moving to this side. And it's all impossible no matter what side. I'm just showing you how it's light just shooting at any direction. It's called stalking with light. It lets you know who's around you, and it lets you know the condition of those who are around you and what they're doing also. It lets you know that you're subject to what is surveillance. It lets you know that those are demons that are doing so because it's engineered light. Demons are stalking in the path in engineered light, and they're targeting you, and you're recognizing it through that impossible light activity. And that's occurring in the morning. I've documented the sunrise even earlier than that. That's what this is, and it has nothing to do with this light source that you're seeing at the same address. Okay, let's go 8:10 in the morning till 6. This is the same address, so let's count together. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 10 hours. So there will never be a sun over the Rancho Cucamonga Library, by the way, at 10:29 in the morning or at 9:42 in the morning. That's the specific environment that I captured at the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court. That's not the natural environment. While that light source is documented nonetheless directly over my head, while I am indeed at that venue during the same time of year, while I'm at that venue at the same time of year, including, 9:42 in the morning and 10:29 in the morning in June of 2022. We're in May of 2024. This is the same time of year, okay? It's the unnatural environment. And the entity is maintaining the light source at the same address by virtue of looking at this light source and looking at this light source inside of the same apartment at 8:10 in the morning, and you're looking at the light activity that's appearing and disappearing right now inside of my apartment, while the entity was maintaining a light source directly over my head, which was outside of the doors of my leasing office this afternoon. Which is what I captured. This is over me. So the entity is what you're looking at is the entity moving the light source as I move, keeping it for the duration of the day, because what I documented on this day, May 7th, 2024, is supposed to be the natural environment, even though I'm letting you know that it is. And so since it's not, and the entity is engaging in what is imitating the natural environment, so you're talking about what's supposed to happen every day. By virtue of it happening every day, it doesn't make it the natural environment, because it will never be the natural environment that has the sun at the same address. And by virtue of being outside of my living room window in the morning, replete with what is impossible light activity on my ceilings in the depths of my
Levels of
bedroom.
concentration on this wall. The light source is on the of my bedroom door in the depths of my apartment, and it's also appearing at different levels of concentration on this wall. The light source is on the opposite side of my apartment. This is speaking to what is criminal presence in the specific environment, including Nova contractors.
So this is the light activity outside of my bedroom window in the morning. This is the light source in the evening, the same bedroom window. So in the absence of that light source, you're looking at the light activity. While you're looking at the light source outside of this window, you're looking at light activity. That is, by the way, engaging in what is the same conduct appearing through closed blinds. And this is where evidence is showing that in an entirely different region, there's a light source remaining over me at the same address where I was both getting up and going to sleep. And the entity was maintaining a light source. And so that's what I want to show you. Like I referenced, on this day in 2022, I am getting up in the morning and I'm headed to Upland Public Library. And I showed you the picture of what was Hope Boulevard and Euclid Avenue. So I'm going to make this brief because I'm already at 25 minutes. On May 13th, at 8 o'clock in the morning, the entity is maintaining the light source over me. I'm waking up. This is all engineered light touching all over this building. The entity is maintaining a light source. Where this light activity where you're seeing here, this is Ontario PD group stalking by helicopter every night. The entity is maintaining engineered light as though the sunrise is occurring. This is a group stalker. It does not matter what your socioeconomic status is. The entity is engaged in obsessive stalking, and it does not matter what what the group stalker's socioeconomic status is, because you're looking at what is demonic activity. Okay, the entity is engaging in what is obsessive stalking by bringing another homeless person who's just stalking in the path. They want to listen to me breathe. They want to be around me. They want to be all up under me. And I'm not exaggerating. This is the demon possessed who are obsessively stalking. And it includes those that use helicopters to stalk me. What is and these are people that are married with children. Okay. And they are obsessed with me. Do you want to know what the source of that obsession is? It is because they are servants of Satan. This demon possession is the explanation as to why they are obsessed. This is a very disturbing reality, and it is supported by the evidence, okay? They are right now engaging in surveillance, listening to me speak every syllable, and they're sitting around in helicopters and fire trucks and ambulances and police vehicles, listening all together at one time. Okay, group stalking, pacing all around with light activity, shooting all over the place. I am not being hyperbolic because I've shown you hundreds of videos. This is exactly what they're doing while they're doing so. And you're looking at the engineered light inside of my apartment. This is not shared with what is the environment. On May 13th, I am at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts at 8:24 in the morning. This is where the entity was engaging at this time of year, a sunrise and a sunset. It is directly relevant, and there is no occasion where you will cover up the light source and suggest that that's anything other than the specific environment. You can cover it up on the 8th. You can cover it up on the same day that you know I'm going to use to juxtapose what's going on in LA with what was happening in San Bernardino County. It will still remain the specific environment, and you are understanding what is under no circumstances at any time of day going to be the natural environment, because the entity was maintaining a light source over me where I would wake up early in the morning, which is what you see here. Exhibit A, 225 South Euclid Avenue, the Ontario Museum of History and Arts. Not only is it there, it's rising there. The entity it's even to be in perfect alignment with what the side of the building that I'm at. This is what you see occurring outside of my apartment right here. That's what this is. That's what this is. It's called stalking in the path. That's what you saw over here while I'm standing at building 1810, and it's in perfect alignment with me over that building directly above that palm tree while LAPD is stalking in a helicopter. Let's look at it again. Okay, let's look at it again. All right, this is a light source that's nowhere near the Upland Public Library, and that's P.O.C. They're stalking in the path, okay? They're group stalking in a helicopter. They're obsessed demons, and they are affiliated with law enforcement. They're acting in concert with the people of the state. They're all around a relevant position. What you're looking at is the light source, and based on my position at that time, and that time was 4:29 p.m., the entity is maintaining the light source over this building over there, okay? Over there. Over there. It's directly over the palm tree. You can see by the shadow of the palm tree, as I pointed out in that video. As I move to my apartment, this is called stalking in the path. The entity is group stalking through a whole environment. Where I'm showing you, and that's exactly what you're seeing occurring at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts. The entity is engaging in what is maintaining a light source all day. And what I'm documenting on this day in 2022, you've got a sunrise that's appearing as I document this for years. There's never going to be the natural environment with the sun present over Alvarado Gardens anywhere, ever, ever, because of what the entity is already documented and engaging in, and it ain't happening at the same time. Excuse my French, but I want to say it like that because I'm stressing it's not happening naturally. You're talking about the specific environment. By the way, not only have I captured the entity maintaining this light source, which is what I continued to capture for the duration of the day. May 13th, I went to the Upland Public Library. This is where the light source was at 10 o'clock in the morning over my head.
It is 10 o'clock in the morning.
This is the same Upland Public Library where I showed you on May 11th. It's over my head, directly over the roof at 4:05 in the evening. The entity is maintaining this light source. What I wanted to show you was, as I start my day, that's where the light source is. And it's not over Alvarado Gardens. It's not over, while you're looking at this, it's not aiming through the living room window of my apartment at Alvarado Gardens in what is Los Angeles, California. So I just want you to take a good gander at that again, because that's not the natural environment. The entity is maintaining a specific environment and is doing so, let's see, for purposes of the pattern of conduct. It's not for purposes of engaging in a criminal system. The pattern of conduct at 8:10 in the morning.
Okay, this is of what is, and then I go to, all right, and this is light activity. So then I want you to see what is the light activity on the presence in order to
maintaining engineered light and the light source. This is not over the Ontario Museum of Arts in Ontario at Euclid and Hope Boulevard in Ontario. As I capture it at 8:20, approximately 8:20 in the morning. This is 8:10. This is same time of year analysis, daylight savings time. I'm in LA. This is out the living room window of LA, where I'm showing you at the same address in LA. The light source is still here, and you're also looking at what is for the duration of the day, May 7th. This is the same environment, it's the same analysis. The entity wants to cover up the light source in the morning. It's not going to be forgotten that you ever captured a sunrise at the same address. The entity is engaging in what is ongoing sexual violence while they're crossing paths willy-nilly. That's what they're doing. Driving in the parking lot, they're monitoring me. They're sex offenders. While you're looking at impossible light activity all inside of my apartment, and all of the people of the state are going to be prosecuted for that, including group stalkers such as Tiffany Cherez's daughter. She likes to engage in federal stalking. She likes to engage in more, just like the demon-possessed population that threatens your life and your safety. While they're aware of your documentation, that psychotic personality defect is observed, is documented by Tiffany Cherez's 15-year-old daughter. Okay, and that's what I captured on video. That's speaking to what is the need for mental examinations. And basically that's going to be the case when you are in the custody of a documented sex offender and a psychopath such as Tiffany Cherez, a violent criminal, okay, exhibiting unfathomable levels of impunity and malice while she is engaged in the criminal pattern of conduct in concert with that police agency, literally the demon-possessed one, the totally illegitimate law enforcement agency, LAPD. So this is her daughter. It's reasonably foreseeable that she's going to need mental examinations, by the way. But the entity is engaging in this criminal system, and I want to be clear. What's over the Ontario Museum of History and Arts at 8:20 in the morning during the same time of year is not the sun that's going to be outside of my living room window, nor is this the sun that's possibly going to be at the same address. You're talking about 11 hours later in alignment to me at the same address, creating this ongoing maintenance of engineered light, just like you see in the same bedroom above my head, while the light source is not even the failed and literally unpersuasive, unintelligent, unrealistic, scientifically impossible explanation for what is nothing other than the maintenance of a light source, speaking to group stalking by a whole population, knowing where I'm at, and the engineered light, which is maintained inside of my private space. And it has nothing to do with that light source. That's why you see engineered light appearing in my bedroom in the morning, and the light source is not even outside of this window. Okay? That's called stalking with light. That's what the entity is doing, and that's documentation of what is a sex offense by the state of California. And while you saw the impossible light activity literally appear on the ceiling, that's capturing the demonic. It's never naturally occurring. It's documented sexual violence, okay? The entity is doing so while it is invading the private space, okay? That's light that's going underneath the bed. And so what I want to speak to is not only am I capturing the entity that's maintaining a light source nowhere near Los Angeles, while I'm showing you this light source that's remaining over me at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts, which is the case as I'm capturing it on May 13th, 2022. So let me open that up again. That was May 13, 2022. I am headed to the Upland Public Library. This is what I'm documenting. The entity is maintaining a light source over me while I am en route to that venue, 10 o'clock in the morning. As a matter of video documentation, this is where I remain, okay? The entity is maintaining, as you see at 4:30 in the evening. The point of bringing this up is that this is where the entity was starting the day with the light source, not the sun. And I knew this then, that this was not the natural environment, because at this same address where I'm showing you the light source, over my head, over the same side of the building where I'm at, very specific, not only with its location, but literally its position at the location, it's in alignment to me. You're looking at what is group stalking. It's called being in the path. It's called stalking in the path. That's what you're doing by helicopter when you are flying by. You're stalking in the path. You're crossing path, okay? When you're flying over my head, that's called crossing path. They're flying right over. They're engaging in what is the ongoing pattern of conduct. And so the entity is present, keeping a light source over me, nowhere near Los Angeles, and nor is there any provision for the light source to be in Los Angeles, specifically outside of any vantage point where you could see it through building 1806 North Alvarado Street, apartment number 6, or over the property at any time while I'm at the leasing office. You're not even going to see it. It's not going to be anywhere over here because the entity engaged in what is a documented criminal act. And on May 13, 2024, it is surrounded. I am surrounding the entity with evidence as well. I'm at this address at 8:24 in the morning, and I am also at this address as I'm capturing the entity group stalking at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts, where I'm at that same address in the evening. And this is what I capture on video. The entity is group stalking, doing so in helicopter at the same exact museum where I wake up in the morning.
Demon possessed one, posing a threat. And this is what you're listening to on my podcast, flying repeatedly in circles, especially as I capture the fake.
This is at 5:45 p.m. I want you to see the light
circles,
first.
Especially as I capture the fake.
Oops, I'm sorry. Hold on.
Circles, especially as I capture the fake.
I have this one where you can see the light source. Oh, yeah, there we go. Okay, so the entity is stalking by helicopter.
And this is what you're listening to on my podcast, flying repeatedly in circles, especially as I capture the fake sun in the same position that I'm capturing in the morning. The entity gets entirely frustrated as I document that damning evidence. I want to be clear, this is the criminal system that this demon, Moss, was engaging in today at 10:19 in the morning, while he's engaging in, what is that, that nonchalant attitude.
So this is May 15, 2022. This is relevant to what is time of year analysis. The entity is maintaining a light source. I started this video at 5:48 in the evening on purpose, and I'm showing you what the entity was doing on May 13, 2022, where I'm sleeping at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts. The entity's criminal conduct that I've been subject to has reasonably resulted in what is the inability to keep a job, because the people of the state are your employer. The people of the state are harassing you. The people of the state are unlawfully releasing you from employment. You, by the way, are reasonably in fear of your job as a practicing attorney, and law enforcement agencies are engaged in group stalking at the courthouses. This is what I was subject to, and I promptly resigned upon realization that these corrupt law enforcement agencies were group stalking at the courthouses that were on my schedule as a practicing attorney when I was in Los Angeles. And the Los Angeles Police Department, by the way, is the first one that I started documenting based on their criminal act of it's criminal summoning, when they are masquerading as having jurisdiction to stop you in traffic under reasonable suspicion that you're not wearing a seatbelt and you're actually a demon that knows exactly where I'm at and what I'm doing, and engaging in what is abuse of that position. And that's what LAPD did in 2018. But this entity is, again, responsible and reasonably responsible for the financial harms that I've suffered while keeping me under surveillance. And it, as you can see, the entity is group stalking me in the workplace. This has ramifications. It's directly precipitating from this criminal system that I was subject to. Harassment nonetheless, but I'm going to digress on that. I want you to see, this is the Ontario Museum of History and Arts, where I am sleeping and I'm waking up in the morning, and you're looking at that light source I just showed you in the 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm at the museum at 5 o'clock in the evening, and the light source is still there. And you're looking at what's going on here. I'm showing you an ongoing pattern. The entity is maintaining a light source here outside of my window. And I captured video so you could see it as it follows me as I went from my office. And who else is following? The LAPD and helicopters. The entity is keeping the light source now outside of my window, and I'm in the same apartment where I've captured the so-called sunrise. And you're looking at the ongoing pattern of maintaining what is engineered light, because that's never going to be sunlight. And there is no one that can reasonably contend. You might have a psychopath. You might have some asininity going on, but nothing seriously contended regarding whether that sunlight that's appearing both above your head and beneath, piercing through closed blinds horizontally, like we're at a circus, okay? And that circus conduct with light, hook-shaped light that's swiping all around your person, that's terrorism, There's nothing normal about that, and it's relevant for prosecution. It is revealing the prima facie case of federal group stalking and monitoring, and so this is a pattern. 8 o'clock in the morning, outside of my living room window, this is the same address, 5:48 in the evening, and what's mutually exclusive is the evidence I'm showing at the same Ontario Museum of History and Arts at the same time of year. May 13, 2022, I'm waking up at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts. There's not going to be any sun over my head as I captured on video during the 12 o'clock hour today. It's not going to be over my apartment building directly over my head as I captured at 1:15, 1:17 in the afternoon. It's not going to be over my apartment as I'm walking out of my apartment, again, at during the 2 o'clock hour. It's not going to be over in alignment to me, over my head in alignment at while LAPD is crossing path in that specific environment. It's not over the Ontario Museum of History and Arts, which the entity is suggesting, because I'm capturing it both in the morning and I'm at that same address in the evening. You are tethered to that evidence because it's not remaining at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts and also outside of my leasing office over building 1802, creating that light activity of the shadow of that palm tree on the roof of that building. That's not the sun. That's never going to be the sun at the same address. And it's not the sun that's going to be over me in Los Angeles and that Ontario Museum of History and Arts. That's how that analysis goes. And at this same Ontario Museum where I was waking up and the entity was documented, engaging in what you see here, stalking in helicopters and maintaining the light source at the end of the day, the same address where I'm waking up in the morning.
What you're listening to on my podcast, flying repeatedly in circles.
And this is the light source.
Stalking with children in tow. Engaging in terrorism with children under the fake sun, as I captured in still images. So let me show you in video. They are group stalking. The helicopter, the fake sun, the directed light, you are group stalking. Holding a camera in your hand is no form. And I'll document their license plates. These are psychopaths, and she's doing so with minor children, terrorizing another. The entity is groups flying over, amplifying the sound of helicopters.
And what am I speaking to? I'm speaking to what are the mental illness that's revealed by the demon-possessed, the psychotic, highly malicious, in other words, criminal system that's underway, while an entity is targeting you, and that targeting conduct is not exhibited through what is their outward behavior. I have no idea who the target individual is. I'm taking pictures of my precious babies. Their precious babies are nothing other than props. They're using them as activity creation and relevant positioning in concert with that entity that is at the same time engaging in the hallmark, stalking in the path, remaining where you are, following wherever you go in a helicopter. This is happening everywhere. And then you have the entity that's at the same address. How is the sun still at the same address? This is the pattern of conduct. And you're witnessing the malice of the people of the state that like to use their children. They like to use their kids to sexually violate you, to harass you, to engage in what is psychologically tormenting the ordinary target individual. This is what Tiffany Sherez's 15-year-old daughter likes to do. She likes to do that. I'm going to prosecute her. Like the adult that she likes to act, she wants to engage in big kid crimes. She's going to be prosecuted like a big kid. Okay? And that's a sex offense that's going to stay on her record. Federal group stalking and monitoring, the federal prosecution is not limited to the age of majority. Let me be clear. All they're doing is maintaining presence all around you and doing so with the cell phone. They're engaged in federal stalking. Teenagers are doing this all over the place. Okay, demon possession is not limited to the age of majority. Group stalking is underway only by the demon possessed. Their targeting conduct is exhibited in the environment and their behavior. And you don't have to look at me while you're holding a camera and you're engaging in the elements of monitoring. You don't have to talk to the target individual. You don't have to know them. You're engaged in what is the pattern. You're looking at all the hallmarks, and then the people of the state thinking you're escaping prosecution because you are in every way engaged in the crime. You're at the crime scene. That's like holding the bloody knife, saying, I don't even know the victim. I have no idea. Like, knowing the victim has anything to do with the fact that you're holding the bloody knife. You clearly engaged in this. Okay. Like I said, this is the entity's mindset. This is the same not the library. This is the same venue. And this is the light source that's hovering over me where I'm waking up in the morning.
Flying over, amplifying the sound, amplifying the sound is no form. And I'll document their license plates. These are psychopaths, and she's doing so with minor children, terrorizing another. The entity is groups flying over, amplifying the sound of helicopter activity. And this is the Ontario Museum of History and Arts. Okay? The entity's lights.
All right, this is the same venue where I'm showing you that light source at 8 something in the morning. This is not shared with what you see aiming through my living room window as I started this video at 5:48 in the evening, while you're looking at the light activity that's spreading across my bedspread and on my carpet and into the depths of my bedroom, which has nothing to do with the light source because I'm showing you the same pattern occurring in my bedroom, even in the morning, while that same light source, which is under no circumstances going to be the sun, not only based on what you see at the Ontario Museum at History and Arts at the same time of year, around the same time, but also because the sun's not at the same address all day long. That's not the natural environment. Okay, that's the pattern of conduct. And where the pattern of conduct is underway, the pattern of conduct includes the stalking conduct, the presence of the state, and they like to be present in helicopters. This is what California is doing. It is currently, again, 6:33 p.m. I apologize for the lengthy videos, but there's a lot to go through. I want to show you and make sure you understand what are the patterns. You are recognizing patterns. You're going to look at the same thing over and over again. It's just going to appear in a different way, but it's not different. It's the same thing. Engineered light, spread it across the ceiling inside of a grocery store. That's impossible light activity. It's not light occurring from any lamp. It's not light that's shooting up through while the doors open and close. That's the pattern of stalking with light. Okay, stalking with light in and of itself is a peculiar phrase. Let me be clear. The demon-possessed are engaged in a very peculiar crime. And it is so unheard of. It is so unfathomable. It is so malicious. It is so demented by virtue of trying to report it to someone. It is designed to result in what is the criminal defamation. Remember, defamation by the entity. Anybody speaking to the mental health of the targeted individual who was established by the evidence, the entity's targeting you. Anything they say about your mental illness is within the pattern of conduct, and they can say it on the internet. The entity is monitoring on the venue of the internet, the Title 18 criminal conduct. Anything that the entity says at any venue is the state speech. The state is defaming you. The state is defaming you through the people, or the state is defaming you directly. You will prosecute for that. It's a criminal act while the pattern of conduct is underway. It's within the P.O.C. Okay, so you're understanding what is no matter of no pecuniary matter. This isn't civil defamation. This is defamation that's serving a criminal purpose, and it's government action. All right. It's very threatening to the liberty and the safety and the life of the target individual. And it is not tolerated. OK, so I want to be clear. This is the entity engaging in a criminal system. And this is how you're recognizing patterns. OK, so that's the reality of what's not the sun. This is not visible through my bedroom window in Los Angeles. And the more that the entity day in and day out aims engineer light into my bedroom, as you're looking at it outside of my bedroom window, as you're looking at impossible light activity all over my bedspread, all over my pillowcases, all over my carpet, reaching underneath my bed. As I documented yesterday evening, the entity aiming magnified size of light on my bedroom wall. This is 7:06 in the evening. The entity is engaging what is an ongoing, well-documented pattern and what's going to be prosecuted as impunity. You can do the impossible 70,000 times. It will never make it naturally occurring. And why? Because there are facts that surround the way that the natural environment works. Okay. And no NASA scientist, no rocket scientist is going to get up there and contend that the sun is going to be present, as I have documented, at one address in Los Angeles, California, from the beginning to the end of the day. Nobody is going to contend with that. I guarantee it. Okay. It is capturing the specific environment. Neither is any of this sunlight. This is literally capturing the demonic. These blinds are closed in an upward position at no time is sunlight aiming through. And it's also not occurring while the documented maintenance of a light source is in an entirely different region. And this is a body of evidence that exists before I ever lived in Los Angeles to make any provision for what is now the demonic imitation, because it's never going to be the natural environment of a sunrise to a sunset. You can wait until the middle of the day to unveil your light source during the 12 o'clock hour. It remains the unnatural environment. It will not ever make it the natural environment. Never. It still remains as the specific environment. Okay. While you're looking at that ongoing impunity and malice, it's documentation of what is obsession by the entity that is still stalking you to date. And they're monitoring the documentation. That obsession by a government that's monitoring you, that's group stalking you, that's engaged in federal stalking, that's speaking to not only civil damages, that's speaking to what is federal imprisonment, federal prosecution, okay, being published on a list maintained by the Department of Justice as engaged in state surveillance group stalking by any and every resource that the government uses. I'm talking company names. I don't care what your address is, what your name is, who you think you are. You're not an exception. And this solid establishment of what is the system, the unmistakable existence of that system, not only through the environment, which in and of itself is solid, the entity is showing the existence of a system through the directed light conduct. It's in the grocery stores. It's on the streets and the highways. It's on public transportation. Okay? This is the state system. All right, it is currently 6:37 p.m. and this is P.O.C.